So in the last two sessions, good morning everyone. So in the last two sessions, like I covered like load runner system requirements and computer basics, right? Few computer basics that are every software engineer should know, right? Now today, I'm going to cover like SDLC, software development lifecycle and testing lifecycle. So this is a typical software development lifecycle, right? So any software development lifecycle starts with requirement analysis, isn't it? So it starts with requirement analysis. And once all the requirements are collected from the client, right? So designing phase will start. So now, this architect team and senior team will be involved in this. Project managers and all will be involved in this requirement analysis, and they will collect all the requirement, analyze all the requirements, and they will design the application. Architect will design the application. So designing the application means like they will decide like which programming language to use, what is the front end, what is back end technology that they have to use and all. That will be decided by the architect, the project, the software architect, right? In the designing phase. And the next phase comes implementation phase. Implementation phase is nothing but developers start writing the code using the programming language and the technology that is decided in the designing phase. Okay. So in the implementation phase is nothing but coding phase or development phase. So development starts, right? So, and in previous waterfall model, so this software development, is done in multiple models, like starting with the waterfall model, agile methodology. We'll discuss that later. What is waterfall and what is agile? So as development team is developing the application, right? Testing team will be testing the application. So there will be different types of testing, which we'll discuss in the next couple of minutes, right? So there will be functional testing. You first testing starts with unit testing, which is done by developers. We'll discuss that in the next couple of minutes. So software testing will be done. That the code that is developed in the implementation phase or coding phase, that will be tested by the testing teams, different testing teams. And once the testing is completed, it will go into production. That is called as evaluation phase. And pushing the application to production is called as this evaluation phase. So this is a typical software development life cycle, right? Any queries here, guys?
Yeah, Pawan. So మీరు రిక్వైర్మెంట్ అనాలిసిస్ డిజైన్ అని 5 స్టేజ్ చెప్పారు కదా. సో ప్రీవియస్ గా నేను వేరే వాళ్ళ దగ్గర క్లాస్ విన్నాను. సో దాంట్లో ఫస్ట్ రిక్వైర్మెంట్ గ్యాదర్, డిజైన్, ఆర్కిటెక్చర్, డెవలప్మెంట్, టెస్టింగ్ అండ్ లైవ్ అని 6 స్టేజెస్ చెప్పాడు. సో సేమ్ అదేనా ఒకటేనా?
Yeah, it's almost the same. So for that matter, let me show you how it is based on how it is represented. So observe here. So this is waterfall model process diagram. In here, okay, they separated that analysis into 3 parts: conception, initiation, analysis.
Yeah, okay.
And designing phase, we have designing phase here in that. There, like in the previous diagram, it is implementation. Here it is construction phase. So all terminology are, like they elaborated here. That's it. The analysis phase is elaborated here. That's it.
Okay.
All are one and the same. See, the analysis phase is elaborated and split into 3 parts here.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Now, so we are interested in this. We are not interested in this SDLC, complete SDLC. We are interested in this testing phase, right? Isn't it? So we are not interested in designing phase, or we are not interested in coding phase. So we are more interested in testing phase. Now let's see what happens in the testing phase. So before going to that, so this is one of my favorite quotes on testing. So let me go to the testing life cycle. Let us understand the testing life cycle. So this is one favorite quote about testing. One of my favorite quotes about testing, to tell somebody that they are doing wrong is called as criticism. To do so officially is called as testing. I found that, this quote makes sense, right? Now let's move on to testing life cycle. So we are interested in testing. So let's understand the testing life cycle. Now I'll go to the slideshow mode. So testing will be done in different phases, or there are different types of testing. First, when developers are writing some piece of code, right? As soon as developer writes some piece of code, they will do something called unit testing. Developers do something called unit testing. So what is the general meaning of unit? Unit is a small piece of something, right? A small component is called as a unit. Now, what is unit testing? So unit testing is a white box testing. So it is also called as white box testing. We'll discuss why it is called as white box testing later on. So unit testing is white box testing done during the development of an application by the developers. So the testing done by developers is called as unit testing. That means as soon as the developer writes some piece of code, they test it whether it is working fine or not. They isolate a section of code and verify its correctness. Means they test whether that piece of code is working fine or not. And that is called as unit. And now in unit maybe that unit may be an individual function, method, procedure, module, or object. Right? A unit may be an individual function, method. Function means software function, right? So what is a function? What is a function? Functions are self-contained modules of code that accomplish some specific task. Some piece of code that accomplishes specific task, right? That is called as a software function. That is called as a function in software coding terminology, development terminology. Clear case? So it can be a unit, can be an individual function, method, procedure, module, or object. If you are interested to learn, explore like this. What is function in software coding? Explore like this if you are interested to learn. If you already know, well and good. So basically, unit testing is done by developers. That is what you need to remember and understand. Understand and remember. Unit testing is done by the developers, and it is also called as white box testing. Why it is called as white box testing? Now let's understand that why it is called as white box testing. As developers know the every internal of the application, that is called as white box testing. Okay. And the testing done by testing team, functional testing team is called as black box testing, because testers will not know all the internals of the application. They will not know the code and all. They will not know the programming language and all. That is why that the functional testing done by the testing team, that is called as black box testing. Clear guys? So this is the difference between or this is the reason behind why this is called as white box testing and why this is called as black box testing. As developers know all the internals and they know what is the programming language code that is being developed, right? That is called as white box testing. Clear guys? And as testers don't know anything about the programming language, they won't know it, the coding and all. That is called as black box testing. The functional testing done by testing team is called as black box testing. Clear guys? The next, guys, is it clear guys what is white box? Why unit testing is called as white box testing, and what is unit testing?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now the next type of testing is integration testing. So what is the meaning of general meaning of integration? Integration and general meaning is combination, combining different things. Okay, let me show you that integration meaning in software. So what is the meaning of integration? Software integration is the process of bringing together various types of software subsystems. Means, see, combining together is called as integration. Clear case? Combining together or bringing together different pieces, that is called as software integration. Now, what is the next type of testing is integration testing. After unit testing, the next type of testing is integration testing, and that is done in an environment called SIT environment, where SIT stands for system integration testing. Right? Integration testing is done in an environment called SIT, where SIT stands for system integration testing. Environment is nothing but a computer on which a machine or a group of machines is called as environment here. Clear guys? In SIT environment, the system integration testing will be done. So what is integration testing? Definition. Integration testing is defined as a type of testing where software modules are integrated logically and tested as a group. different software modules are integrated logically and tested as a group. Clear guys, that is called as integration testing. So any typical software project consists of multiple software modules, right? It will contain multiple software modules coded by different programmers. Now let's understand what is meant by a software module. Let me go out from here. Let's say for example, a team of developers are working on this Gmail application. Here itself. Let's say a team of developers are working on this Gmail application. Now, one developer will not write all this code, right? One developer cannot develop the whole Gmail application, isn't it? So the software project will be split into multiple modules. Let's say, for example, this is your inbox module. Which one? So let's assume that this is your inbox, right? This is one module, and one more module over here. There is one more module over here. Let's say there is one more module over here. Now, this Gmail application will be developed as different modules, and if on each module, different developers will be working. Understood, guys? And we also have Google Meet, Google Hangouts, and all this, isn't it? So on each module, different team will be working on developing that module. Understood, guys? What is meant by a module?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Or this search functionality, this will be developed as one module. So one more, some other developers will be working on the search function, the search email feature, right? So once we combine all these modules, right? So different developers will be working on different modules, and eventually we need to combine all of them, right? And the testing that is done after combining those modules is called as integration testing. Clear, guys? So what is the purpose of doing that integration testing? Let me clear this drawings. So what is the purpose of this integration testing, guys? It is to expose the defects in the while they are integrated or while they are combined. The purpose of the integration testing is to expose defects in the interaction between these software modules when they are integrated, when they are combined. Different modules are combined, right? We may get some defects in that. So to expose those defects, we do this integration testing. And this is done in SIT environment, system integration testing environment. What is meant by environment here? One computer or a group of computers, that is called as environment. Clear, guys? What is integration testing? And our testing team will do this. Mostly testing team only will do this integration testing. Unit testing is done by developers. Integration testing is done by testing team. Okay. Next type of testing is functional testing. And functional testing is done in environment called QA environment, where QA stands for quality analysis or assurance. So functional testing is done in QA environment, where this QA stands for quality analysis or quality assurance. Right? Now, functional testing is also called as black box testing. I already explained just now. Why it is called as black box testing is functional testing team will not know the code and all. The logic or which is implemented and all programming language that that is used, they will not be good in that, but they do the testing, and the testing done by functional testing team is called as black box testing, where so it is black box testing where the system is tested against the functional requirements or specifications. Now you should understand this term, functional requirements or specifications. Okay. So for that, I'll go to and take one example. Let's say, for example, you type gmail.com. Right? So we'll take some popular, well-known examples. Let's say you click on sign in. Right? Now, so this is the Google Gmail sign-in page, wherein we need to enter either email or phone here, isn't it? So let's say this is my email address. This is one of my email address. If you enter this email address and click on next button, if this email address is a valid email address, right? If this email address is a valid email address, if you click on next, what happens, guys?
Ask you to enter the password.
Right. So application should ask us to prompt application will prompt us to enter the password, isn't it? If you click on next, if it is a valid email address, now it is asking to enter the password. In case you enter some characters like this, okay. Now what happens? What should happen?
It doesn't take.
It will
Right.
throw error.
Yeah. So if you enter some junk value, some invalid value over here, right? And if you click on next, application should display some error message, isn't it? And it is saying like enter a valid email or phone number. So this is the functional requirement. If you enter a valid email address and click next, it should ask for password. If you enter an invalid email address or phone number, it should display some error message. That is the functional requirement of this page, isn't it? Right? And so how does this functional testing team do their testing, perform their testing? They write some test cases like this. If you enter a valid email address, it should ask for password. If you enter some invalid characters, junk characters, it should display some error message, right? This is how functional testing tests the functional requirements of the application. This is the functionality of the application. And functional testing team will test the functionality like this, right? Clear, guys? And this is called as functional testing. Hello? Functional requirement or specification.
Yes, sir.
Right? And what is functional testing?
Yes.
Right. So how does functional testing team does this? Functions or features are tested. Features, the application features are tested by feeding them input and examining the output. What is the input here? In this example, what is the input?
Valid email.
Whatever the email you are entering.
Phone number, isn't it? See, for one more thing. So see. Will this work if I enter without at gmail.com? If I click on next, what happens?
Not at all.
It will work.
It won't work.
No, it will work. Okay, let's see that. Yeah, it will work. Let's see that. Right? It will ask for password. See, it automatically took the complete Gmail address. Because we are on Gmail page, right? It already appended that at gmail.com and it is asking for password, right? So these are the specifications. All these will be mentioned in the that functional requirements. Okay. So that is the input here. A valid email address or phone number is the input and we examine the output. Yes or no? So this is how functional testing will be done. And if this functional testing is done manually, that is called as manual testing. If it is done using a tool like Selenium or any other tool, that is called as automation testing. Clear, guys? I explained this of this functional testing, automation testing, performance testing in one of the videos on my channel. Please go through that once if you have some time. Please go through this video, okay? So I explained all these details, what are the different types of testing and all this. I'll share the link in your WhatsApp group. Please go through that if you are interested. No, I won't get a thumbnail, okay? I'll share it from my mobile. Without thumbnail, it doesn't look good for me, at least. Right? So if you are testing that, functionality of the application without using any tool, that is called as manual testing. And if you use any tool for that, for testing that, we call that as automation testing. Here, guys, what is the difference between functional testing and automation testing?
Sir, I got a doubt. Like previously, you have used the email the first characters. So if we are adding any unanimous characters to that, will it redirect to the login page?
Means what are unanimous characters means?
Just enter perfect. After that, use any characters like asterisk, ash, something
No,
like
it won't
that.
take. No, it won't take.
Okay.
Right. Suppose if you enter some junk characters, it will understand. See, these characters are not allowed in email address, right?
Yes.
That's why it will validate first of all. It will validate whether it is whether if there are any invalid characters in the thing or not, and it will display an error message.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Right. So functional testing ensures that the software requirements are properly satisfied by the application. Right. So functional testing ensures that the software requirements are properly satisfied by the application. So this is about functional testing. And so in the next slide, I explained functional testing versus non-functional testing. We'll discuss that later. Okay. The next type of testing is performance testing. So for which you are here, right? The next type of testing is performance testing, or that is also called as non-functional testing. Okay, that is also called non-functional testing, and it is done in an environment called test environment or engineering environment. Some companies call it as test environment, performance testing environment. Some companies call it as engineering environment. Okay. Now, what is this performance testing? Performance testing is a non-functional testing to determine the application's speed, right? When I say speed, what is the response time of the page, right? When I say speed here means what are the response time of each pages, right? And responsiveness and stability of a computer, network, software program or device under a load. You need not remember this definition. We have some simple definition, one more simple definition in the coming up slides. So for now, remember that functional performance testing is non-functional testing, right? We are not bothered about the functionality of the application. So that's why it is called as non-functional testing. But we are interested in how are the response times of the application, how stable the application is, right? Stability and responsiveness means how stable, speed, stability, scalability, and reliability of the application, right? So we have some more, one more simple definition in the coming up slide. Okay. So, but for now, remember that performance testing is a non-functional testing. Okay. To find out an application's speed, stability, scalability, and reliability. We have that in, let me check. Yeah. So here you go. So performance, sorry. Yeah. So it is a, so I think this is simple definition to remember and understand and remember. Non-performance testing is non-functional testing to determine an application's speed, stability, scalability, and reliability. I explained what is speed, what is stability, scalability, and reliability in the next slide. Okay, so anyways, we'll go to that soon. So now before going to that, let me, this is one important interview question. What is a functional testing and non-functional testing, right? What are the, can you tell me what is functional testing and what are the non-functional testing of a software project, right? So functional testing is testing functionality we already discussed, and it can be classified into two types, that is manual testing and automation testing. If you are doing manually, just now I explained it. If you are doing manually, it is manual testing, called as manual testing. If you are using any automation tool like Selenium or UFT, that is called as automation testing. So, but both of these fall under functional testing bracket or functional testing umbrella. Now, what comes under non-functional testing? So, non-functional testing is defined as the type of software testing to test the non-functional aspects like performance, security, usability, reliability, etc. Right? So, there are in non-functional testing is a big umbrella under which all these testing come into fall under that umbrella. What are those? Performance testing, security testing, usability testing, reliability testing, all these fall under this non-functional testing bracket, right? And these are the important performance testing tools. Load runner, JMeter, Neoload are the most popular performance testing tools now. Here I mentioned some automation tools. Here I mentioned some performance testing tools. And in the same way, you have some security testing also. In security testing, you have some different types of security testing like DAST. I don't remember exactly. Okay, but there are different types of security testing also. Types of security testing. So DAST, what are those? Vulnerability testing, security planning, penetration testing, and DAST, and those are, I think, those are tools actually. Anyone having some basic idea on this? Yeah, DAST and SAST. These are security testing methodologies. These are different types of security testing. Okay, let's not go bother about that. But remember that, there are different types of non-functional testing, performance testing, security testing. All these are called as non-functional testing. We are not bothered about the functionality, but each has a different purpose. Performance testing purpose is different. Purpose of performance testing is to find out an application's speed, stability, scalability, and reliability. So in the same way, for security testing, what is the purpose of doing security testing? So to find out any vulnerabilities or to find out any security loopholes in that application. Clear, guys? So in that way, like each type of testing has a different purpose. But understand that, all these fall under this non-functional testing. Okay. So, and I gave one diagram over here. Under functional testing, you have unit testing, integration testing, system testing, acceptance testing. Under non-functional testing, you have performance, security, usability, compatibility testing, etc. So this is about functional testing versus non-functional testing. Now we are interested in performance testing, right? So now let's understand, understand what is performance testing, right? And how do we do performance testing? So as I explained, performance testing is to find out an application's speed, stability, scalability, and reliability, right? When I say speed, what is meant by speed here? Let's say, for example, you are visiting this page, apple.com, right? It is taking some time to load the page, right? It took some 2 seconds to load the page, isn't it? Yes or no, guys? So that is called
Yes,
as
sir.
called as response time of the page or speed of the page, with how much time it is taking to load the page. That is called as speed or response time of the page, right? This speed. And the stability, how stable the application is. Means when thousands of users or lakhs of users are using the application, how stable the application is and how scalable the application is, right? When there are huge number of user load, when there are huge number of users, how many users the application can support, that is scalability. And how reliable is the application? Once the application goes into production, how reliable the application is? Or will the users have a positive experience once it goes into production? That is called as reliability. How reliable is the application? And will users have positive experience on go live? Go live means once the application goes into production, how reliable the application will be. Here guys. So that is called as reliability. And these are the 4 major factors for doing performance testing: speed, stability, scalability, and reliability. Okay. Now, how do we do this performance testing? And how do we do this performance testing? Right? So when you are doing functional testing, right, there will be hundreds and thousands of test cases. There will be hundreds of test cases for any simple applications. But for performance testing, we pick the important business flows of the application. We do performance testing for only important business flows of the application. And the dashboard pages which will be visited by stakeholders. We'll discuss this later. First, let's understand what is meant by important business flows of the application. Right? First, let's understand that first. So let you take any example, you take any application, any web application or a mobile application. I'll take a net banking application or an e-commerce application. Okay. Let's take the example of an e-commerce application. Can you give some examples of e-commerce application?
Amazon, Flipkart,
Amazon, Flipkart,
Mintra.
right?
eBay.
GeoMart. Reliance came into this e-commerce business through a GeoMart application. Yes, someone told something else.
AGO, sir. AGO.
Flip.
What is that?
AGO.
Auto?
Tata Flip.
Sorry, I'm not getting that. Okay. So anyways, there are a number of e-commerce applications. Okay. So now, if you take if you consider any of these e-commerce application, So what does we do? What do we do on that e-commerce application? Like Amazon or Flipkart mostly.
We'll do
Search up.
login or search, or we'll add products to the cart. We'll do the payment.
Right. So we'll search for some product, right? Next. Add product to cart. Yeah.
Proceed to checkout.
Check out and place an order. Check out and place an order here. Next.
Make the payment.
Make the payment.
That is part of checkout and place an order.
We'll check the any gift we are getting from that product, like any super coins.
Right.
And
Check
order,
order
order
offers
tracking
are
as well.
What is that?
Scratch card.
Order tracking.
Right. We'll go to my orders, right? So you'll check the
Yes.
order and order tracking. Next.
And my account page also will be visited. Can be considered as priority.
Right. Cancel order, right? You can check my account details. You can check your account details or account information. My account. What else?
Changing address.
Right? What is that?
Change of address.
Change of address. Yeah. Right. So these are the important business flows. If you want to place an order, we need to register ourselves, right? We will create an account first, isn't it? Create account. Yes or no? Or can we call that as user registration? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
These are the important business flows for e-commerce application, right? So when you are doing performance testing, right? So we will test only these. We are interested in only these important business flows, which are used very frequently. Understood? So this is what I mean to say when I say important business flows of the application. Important business flows means these are the important business flows for an e-commerce application. So if you take any net banking application, yes. Let's take another example of net banking application.
Login, doing transaction.
So we will create an account
Create
first.
an account.
User registration. Yeah.
Right, or user registration. That is one of the
Sign in.
important.
Sign in.
Yeah. Next.
Login.
Yeah.
So creating password.
Login and check balance, isn't it?
Funds transfer.
Right. Fund transfer.
Balance inquiry.
Transaction history.
That's what I said. Check balance means balance.
Statement.
Transaction history.
Bank statement.
And
Transaction.
loan as well.
Statement.
Open
Yeah.
FD, close FD.
Bank statement. Yes.
So open FD.
Open FD. So
Close FD.
Providing loans.
right. Flying loan, right?
Yes.
Loan,
Credit cards.
car credit cards, right? And
Forgot password.
bill payment, right? Bill payment or credit card payment. Account statement. I think here we covered it. Bank
Yes,
statement.
Home button.
So these are the important business flows, right? And profile update. Can you call a profile update, right? We once in a while we may be updating the profile, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Settings. Aadhaar card attestation.
Right. All fall under profile update. So these are the important business flows for a net banking application, right? So in performance testing, we take only these important business flows. We will not take we will not take this, like verifying the functional testing. We are not interested in functional testing, isn't it? We don't bother about, like functional testing, but we consider only critical business flows of the application and we do performance testing for only those. So generally in any project, that's why on an average, you will have max 10 scripts. You will not have hundreds of test cases like in functional testing. On an average, you will have 10 to 15 scripts in any project. 10 to 15 scripts in any project. Okay. So that is the average number that I have seen in my experience in the last 15 years, 16 years of experience. Only in one project, we had 80 scripts. In one of the project that I worked, we had 80 scripts in that project. when I worked for Bank of America. I worked in payments application. There we used to have 80 plus scripts. Bank of America is a product-based company. It's into wholesale banking. It's a wholesale bank, not a retail banking one. They are into wholesale business. And they do payroll processing for Apple, Accenture, and all these companies. Right? So there we had like the max number of scripts that I saw there is 80 plus scripts. But generally, in any other project that I work till date, average number of scripts will be only 10 to 15 scripts. Like this, we'll pick the important business flows and we do performance testing for those. And not only important business flows, there will be certain pages which will be visited by the stakeholders. Suppose you have application, your application admin is there, and he looks into the important, see, for example, for this application, this is a admin page where administrator log into the page and see the how many orders are placed or how many orders are fulfilled, what is the revenue and all, right? Those kind of dashboard pages also should be performance tested, should be done performance testing. Because those are, even though there are, see, for these important business flows, there will be lakhs of users. Yes or no? Hold on, sorry. These important business flows, there will be lakhs of users who will be doing all these operations, right? Yes or no? But there will be some pages which will be visited by the stakeholders, by the admin team or stakeholders or the client, right? Those dashboard pages, even though the, see how many stakeholders will be there, like 10 or 20 people will be there from the client side. So some pages will be visited by only 10 or 20 people, but they are important because those are the stakeholders of the company. Let's say, for example, you take Big Basket application. Okay, bigbasket.com. Right? So the admin team of that Big Basket or the clients will be interested, will be visiting some pages. They will have some admin pages like if they want to check how many orders are being placed per day or per hour, there will be some separate pages for them. That pages will have only 5 or 10 users, but those are visited by the stakeholders. That is why we consider those pages also into performance testing. We include those flows also. Is it clear, Tess? Is this line clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what is the next step? Once we simulate the critical business flows, once we pick the critical business flows and dashboard pages, we test the application under the target user load. What is meant by target user load? Means, for example, so IRCTC application will have roughly like 3 to 4 lakh users per day. That is the target user load for IRCTC. IRCTC application will have 3 to 4 lakh users per day. You know how many tickets will be booked per day on IRCTC? Throughout the country, 20 lakh tickets will be booked per day. 20 lakh tickets. Okay. And but the user load is 3 to 4 lakh users. Out of those 20 lakh users, like 17 to 18 lakh tickets will be booked online. Only 2 to 3 lakhs will be booked through reservation counters. You have IRCTC reservation counters as well, right? Yes, are you able to follow?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
I'm explaining what is meant by target user load or predefined concurrency, right? So any application, any application like IRCTC or Redbus will have lakhs of users per day, or per hour also they will have lakhs of users. Okay, so we need to test the application under that target user load. And who will test the target user load? Your client will tell that. You need not worry. You need not find out that what is the target user load. Client will have that information. They will tell that you have to do performance testing for these many number of users. This is the target user load of the application, right? You will get that number from the client. Next, we validate the application or server's readiness ahead of peak events like Big Billion Sale or Black Friday. Whenever you have some events like peak events like Big Billion Sale or Festival Sale or Republic Day Sale on e-commerce application, right? Republic Day Sale or, whenever you have such peak events, we need to validate we need to verify whether the application or the servers are ready for that or not. They can handle that load or not. Okay. So we validate the application or server's readiness. To do that, we do this performance testing. And we test the application stability before and after version release. Once a version release means some new feature is introduced to the application. Let's say, for example, can you list out some new features introduced in WhatsApp in the last 1 year? Some new features
Payments,
are introduced
make
into
payments.
WhatsApp. Yes, payments feature is introduced into WhatsApp, right? So
Yes.
there is, so whenever some new feature is added, right, then release a new version, new software version. So that is what this version release means. Now, before releasing that version and after releasing that, right? So we test the application stability before releasing that version, and with that feature, once that new feature is added also, we test the application stability. So as part of performance testing. Now, is it clear, guys? So how do we do performance testing, and what exactly we do in that?
Yes, sir.
Right? And there are different types of performance testing. We'll discuss that in the coming up sessions. These are the different types of performance testing. And we don't need to do for all these types of testing. Every application doesn't require all these types of testing. Based on the application, we will decide. We'll discuss that what are the different types of performance testing in detail in the coming up sessions. I'll stop it here, guys, for today. And we'll continue tomorrow. Any queries before we close the session for today?
I have one, sir.
Yes.
Related to the test environment, how it will be like for functional testing, we'll do it in dev, QAT or CST or pre-production. So performance testing on which environment? What it meant test environment actually is.
Yeah, performance testing, we will have a separate environment for performance testing mostly.
Okay.
That is called as test environment or engineering environment. So if you don't have a dedicated test environment for a dedicated environment for performance testing, we do it in SIT or QA, but it should be like an exact replica of production. We'll discuss that in detail in the coming up sessions. So what are the under prerequisites? I'll explain that. What are the prerequisites for performance testing? I have one separate slide for that. There we will discuss.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So if you don't have any other queries, I'll stop it here, guys, for today.
Yeah, Pawan, material ఏమన్నా ఇస్తున్నారా?
Yes, I'll share this material.
Yeah, okay.
I'll share this this.
So Pawan, please add me WhatsApp group.
Me also.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. We covered SDLC, testing life cycle, and performance testing introduction. Right. Let me. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.